My name is Wheatley Stefan. I'm an account manager here at Digital Resource.
My name is Dan Martinez, and I am a web developer here at Digital Resource. And today on hashtag trending topics, we're talking about UX.
All right.
So, do you UX?
I try to enjoy UX. UX has a big role into what websites I visit.
You hope so.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Whether it keeps me on that website or not is really dependent on that UX and whether it's got a great user experience, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I was about to say maybe we should explain UX a little bit.
What is UX?
Well, since you asked so nicely, UX is user experience, and it kind of goes hand in hand with UI, which is user interface. And these are kind of words that get thrown around a lot. I'm a UX designer, or I'm a UI designer, or whatever, but it really probably should be broken down a little bit. And user experience really kind of, in my mind, really plays out what happens when you get to somebody's website. Does it flow? Can you find what you're looking for easily? Is it interactive, or is it just a static page that you're looking at with a big long block worth of text?
Of course, yeah. So all that text, the imagery and everything, it really has to correlate. It really has to work and blend with each other, right?
For sure. And stock imagery doesn't usually cut it, because you can tell stock imagery as soon as you look at it.
Of course.
It's very obvious and
fake, not very genuine in many cases.
But is it okay to use?
It's used often. I think it's kind of a go-to for most marketers, for most digital marketers. I think finding genuine imagery to really relate to your content may be difficult in some cases, but I think people that go the extra mile, providing great relative graphics to the content they're writing about, will go a long way to connecting with their user.
Yeah, for sure. And people are very visual to begin with, especially when looking at a website, when trying to read a website. So having excellent images and not a whole lot of text, that's why I think that's probably one misconception that I see prevail throughout a lot of websites is, well, I have this great technology, or I have this great service, I need to detail everything about it. People are going to love my content.
True, it's very true. In fact,
people don't read.
Yeah, people don't like reading.
Well, I mean,
not on the web. If they want to read, they'll pick up a book.
They'll
read a magazine. But when people on the online, they're searching for something. And people will want to be educated or will want to learn about something, and they might spend the time to read content. But if it's long, probably not. They're not going to finish that whole article.
Yeah, they'll look for bullet points. They'll look for header text, something they can skim and get some kind of general indication of what's going on the page. And if they can't figure that out within the first 5-6 seconds, they're probably gonna leave.
Yeah.
And all that beautiful content you wrote was gonna just go right out the window.
And that stock imagery too. It's not going to be enjoyed. So, taking a page out of Amazon's book, or Amazon's website, we should say, they've really done a great job of kind of optimizing their process of selling and so forth. Would you say Amazon has done really good about their web services in terms of creating a great UX experience for their customers?
Well, I mean, Amazon is a great example of an anomaly, because you look at the website and it is cluttered. There's content everywhere. There are pictures everywhere, but somehow they make it work. What you want is front and center, of course, but then you've got suggested items. People also bought this. You've got reviews, and you've got everything all over the place, but it does work for them, but that's not, but that's them. I wouldn't use them as an example for,
good point.
Say, a website that is for, say, a dentist or for a contractor or any kind of service. You want to keep your content down to a minimum for the most part, and even giving people options in your nav bar, in your navigation. If you give people all of your options up front, they're not going to know what to do. That's one thing that I think also gets kind of
It cumbersome to kind of make up your mind about where to go, where to navigate to sometimes.
sure, it's a lot like a menu in a restaurant.
Yeah.
You go to a restaurant, you have 7 or 8 items on a menu, you can pretty much figure out what you're going to eat pretty quickly. But when, say, if you ever go to Cheesecake Factory and you look at their dictionary of menu items, you can spend 20 minutes and not know what you're going to eat.
True. Very true.
And that's very confusing. Do you want this? Do you want that? You're not sure. A few nav items, a few sub items, and then people can kind of go from there. You can kind of breadcrumb them through your site.
Yeah. I think it's always really important to have really the most interesting and most kind of impactful things really above the fold. So as soon as you hit that page, you don't have to scroll down any further. If depending on what your business is, if you're an e-commerce site or if you're a dentist or if you're providing services to customers, you definitely want to tell people what the impact of your business is, and you really want to draw them to whether it's a lead gen aspect or whether it's an article. I think having the relevant information right there in front of them, kind of that hits them really hard hitting as soon as they come to your website. It's really important that they see that information pretty clearly and right there.
Yeah, for sure. The first thing that a user needs to see is exactly what you're about, and get a very general sense of who you are through imagery and through 1 or 2 very short statements and some form of call to action, whether it's a form or a phone number or something. Beyond that, it can scroll forever with content if you want. That's fine. People are okay with scrolling as long as they can kind of get a general idea of what's happening. But that top half is got to be brief and impactful.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I also think minimizing the number of clicks that user is having to go through to get the information that they need is important also. So
it can be.
You can kind of, it's kind of a give or take in some cases. It really depends on what works for your industry, for your business. But whether it's having people read content or maybe navigating to another page, as long as like you mentioned earlier, breadcrumbs, as long as it's clear and obvious for people to see kind of where to progress to next in a very natural order. I think that provides a good UX experience for many people in some cases.
Sure, as long as they're getting a little bit of information every time, as long as if somebody lands on a page and they can see where they're going and they get a little bit of information, you can take them through 10 different pages. It doesn't really matter to get to where they want as long as they feel like they've picked something up along the way.
Totally.
So I guess in conclusion, UX should really be at the very front of what you're trying to do. It can encompass a lot of different things, so many things we didn't touch here, such as testing and market research and things like that, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunities in other trending topics.
Of course.